Hello, Amanda here with Crafting with Amanda, and welcome to Makers with Heart March 2023 collaboration, where we are going to focus on Melon, the close to my heart color of the year. And I'm showing you here the dark side is the true color of Melon, and then the lighter side is the back side, or the second generation. And I thought this color just worked perfectly with this one photo I have of our daughter and a lost tooth. As I was picking out the melon, I was trying to find other colors that went with it, and I turned to the love of color, and because melon is the color of the year, of course it's not in there. And so I got out my cardstock samples, and I think that the papaya color works really well as like a darker version of melon. So I pulled out the layered flowers, and then the open leaf is from a long retired close to my heart thin cut. And then here I have this journaling that's from one of the art or the Cricut collections, and I always cut out multiple pages, and this one has gray stamping on it already, so I thought that would work. And then I also pulled out my Daisy Daisy stamp set thinking I would use that. Spoiler, I don't actually use it. So off camera I went ahead, and with those layered flowers I have cut in papaya and melon along with white daisy, both the front and back sides of those cardstocks, these flowers. And I'm going to go ahead and assemble all of them, but I thought I'd show you kind of what my technique is. I have inked the edges with melon, and now I have these bone folding tools. All of the supplies that I use will be listed under the video description. These happen to come from Amazon, and I like the shape of them. I also like how they feel in my hand, and they work really well for me. I will go ahead and glue these two layers together, as you can see, but as I said, I did ink all the edges, and then the parts that cut out of the middle in the die cutting process I've interchanged with the different flowers. I like to put them out and kind of put the white center with the papaya, and then the melon with with the white, and just make sure that I have a wide variety of colors mixed and matched. And now on this other little flower, I just curve up the center part that came out, and I'll offset it between the three petals. On some of them that I did for cards later, that's a video that'll be coming out next week, I believe, I went ahead and put the center from one of the die cuts in it, but for this layout today I didn't do that. I know it's hard to see these black leaves on my foam mat. This foam mat is something that came with a paper pasting set years ago from Close to My Heart, and I absolutely love it. It's thicker than a mouse pad, but it's dense, and so it works really well to support the cardstock paper, and yet I can use those bone folders and shaping tools to really push down in there, and I don't have to fear that I'm going to rip the cardstock. I'm not following a pattern today. I'm kind of just trying to figure out what direction I want to go in. I want to highlight the photo. Losing teeth in our house is a big deal. Both of my kids have held on to teeth. They were always literally the last in their class to lose their first tooth. I think both of them, it happened in third grade. So we celebrate teeth loss because we've even had to go to the dentist and have teeth extracted, and that's not fun. So she was able to get this one, wiggle it out on her own, and life was good. I think we went out to dinner that night, which, especially when we were at the farm, was not something we did. So I've double matted this now with some black, and then I did use some of the white scrap because I took out the centers of these cardstocks from my base. And now I'm just playing with the flowers, seeing what works, what doesn't. I will rule out all of the gray tones. It seemed to wash out. There wasn't enough contrast between that light side of the melon cardstock. So the outside border is the outside of the melon, or the pure tone of the melon, and then the inside is the back side, so the second generation, with a French vanilla border, just so that you know. And then these strips of French vanilla were the pieces that I cut off of the side of that framing, and they were just laying on my desk. And so that's kind of where the idea of this layout came together. I had the photo, had the flowers, these strips of cardstock were just laying there, and I'm really liking how this all comes together. So my thought at this point was that I would use the open or filigree leaves with the bigger flowers, and then use the solid leaves with the littler flowers. For me, I realized later that that didn't work, but I just wanted you to know where I was coming from and why I made some of the decisions. While you're watching me put these leaves on and kind of audition where they want to go, I want to mention that close to my heart, Makers with Heart are having a virtual crop on April 22nd. It's Saturday, April 22nd. We've been meeting about this together via Zoom. We're all excited to teach a class to everyone and then get together for a live Zoom crop, virtual crop. So it's not just you crafting along and watching classes. We're going to be there, and you can ask questions if you have tried one of our courses. The nice thing is we're going to all try to use the same stamp sets, or be generic enough of, hey, you need a stamp set with this kind of an image on it, whether it's a flower, a leaf, or I believe background elements was one we had talked about. And then whatever your favorite paper pack is. And I hope as we teach the classes, you'll get to hear of why we picked a striped paper from the pattern, or why we, because different paper packs have different patterns. Some of them are big images, some of them are little and more busy images, some of them are striped or polka dot. And so hopefully you'll be able to see how all the different paper packs, you can use them with most projects and come out with stunning results. So I'll just finish with, be on the lookout for more information on our virtual crop for April 22nd. Here off camera, I typed up the journaling about how we did celebrate, and this tooth came out without having to be extracted. And I used a papaya piece of scrap that I had when I was doing the flowers, and I just cut a tag out of it by clipping the corners. And now I'm using some DMC embroidery floss to make the top on that tag, and I plan to hide it under the photo. This layout isn't going to have a title. Normally I have titles on everything, but I didn't want to do Lost Tooth. I didn't want to do Toothless. Celebrate wasn't working. And I know that I have other photos from close to this time frame. I don't know if it's this day, but it's close to this week. And I think this will just seamlessly go in with the album, and it doesn't need a title. Like I said, I do normally do a title, but this one I couldn't land on anything. Where I would put the title, just in case you want to have one, is I would put it over top of the stripes there to the top left corner of the photo. And there I did swap out for the filigree leaves instead of the solid ones, and that it just gave more balance. It wasn't quite so heavy with the black. And so for me, when I had the dark leaves, the solid leaves, my eye was being pulled between the photo that has the nice weight of the black frame and the leaf that had, again, some weight with the solid cardstock. And here I'm just showing you that I'm using my T-square ruler. I will remind you all my supplies will be listed below in the description if you have any questions. And I use the ruler, and on the very first line of 1/8 inch, I put that at the edge, the right edge of my first strip, and then that allows me to put these down correctly. And now you have even spaces on that. To make my tag with the journaling a little hidden, I popped up the rest of that photo, but I leave a pocket on the back for that tag to slide in and out of. Now this stamp set is the Life's a Hoot Cardmaking stamp, and it's just kind of a background noise that I'm using with, I believe, the Papaya ink, because I wanted something a little bit darker. And like I said, I feel like Papaya is just a natural darker color from the melon. And I struggle here to get the black underneath the flowers. And then I realized that several years ago I was at a crop and I had forgotten my block. So I was using all sorts of different things, but I had like a little stamp set. But I did take my Cricut, and I remember using my Cricut spatula, just like you see here, to put my stamp on. And this is perfect because I can slide it right up under the petals of all of these flowers and leaves. And so that's my tip for the day, is if you're trying to add some stamping afterwards or need to get into a tight space, grab your Cricut spatula and it'll work perfectly for you. I thought I was done at this point, but then as I was looking at it, I realized that upper right corner was just a little too sparse for me. And so again, I'm just grabbing some of these flowers that are done, my Filagree leaves. I'm going to cut those apart, but before I do any of that, I'm going to go ahead and stamp with my background noise, I'll call it, stamp from that Life's a Hoot card making. I could have put it back on the block, and it's funny, about 3 stamps in, I was like, you could have put this on the block, but it was already on the spatula, so I just went with it at this point. And I really like how just that little bit of speckles behind the flower really tend to like elevate or enrich this whole layout. At least for me, I like that. It makes it, I don't want to say shabby chic or distressed, because it's not that. I think the distressedness for those kind of layouts are more like you rough up the edges with scissors and do those kind of things. This is just kind of a medium, adding noise to the background of a project. And this is about it. I'm just like, oh, I'm liking this. So my plan at this point is just to cut the top off of this so I have a true 12 by 12. But then I realized that all stayed together. I thought the leaves were going to be all separate. But when I realized it was together, I thought I could just sneak it in there under the left side next to those strips. And you would just have one little white leaf poking out. And it finished the layout for me. So be sure to check out what the other makers with heart do with their melon color. Kim was yesterday, Jessica started us off, Lori's going to end us on Thursday, and there's a playlist that as the videos are available, you'll be able to see what everybody did. Have a great day. Blessings.